Good morning. It's a pleasure to welcome you this morning to our annual HIDTA Prevention Summit. It's part of a month of programming at the Office of National Drug Control Policy commemorating October as National Substance Use Prevention Month. My name is Shannon Kelly, and I'm the director of the National High Intensity Drug Trafficking Areas Program, known as HIDTA. The HIDTA program was created by Congress in 1988 and now has a presence in all 50 states, in Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, and the District of Columbia. And we coordinate law enforcement efforts at all levels, federal, state, local, and tribal, to make our communities safer by reducing drug trafficking and production. HIDTA's mission is law enforcement, but we accomplish that mission by investing in partnerships. Over the past decade, that investment has increasingly taken the shape of collaboration with public health partners. While this may surprise some people who think we're only focused on arresting drug traffickers, for those of us in the HIDTA program, this partnership has been a natural outgrowth of our desire to reduce drug use and its consequences across the United States. We partner with public health agencies and prevention experts because we share a goal and a mission. We all want America's citizens to be healthy and our communities to be safe. Today, we will showcase the fine work being done at the national and regional level throughout the HIDTA program and our many valued prevention partners. Before I turn the microphone back to HIDTA Deputy Director Jamie Delano, I want to thank her and our team of HIDTA prevention experts for coordinating today's summit. I often brag that a signature strength of the HIDTA program is its nimbleness and its adaptability. But 2020 has challenged all previous notions of adaptability. It is a credit to the resourcefulness, determination, and creativity of Jamie and her team that we're reaching you here today. I hope you all find today's summit helpful, thought-provoking, and even inspiring. Thank you for your work to prevent drug use, and thank you for your partnership.
Thank you so much, Shannon. It's a pleasure to be with all of you this morning. At the HIDTA Directors Meeting in February 2020, the Public Health and Public Safety Framework was introduced by the HIDTA Public Health Safety and Prevention Committee, a team of experts. One component of the framework is the HIDTA Prevention Strategy. While the HIDTA has been extremely successful in achieving substantial impact on reducing the supply and demand of substances in our communities, over the last few years, we have naturally collaborated with public health sector in meaningful ways to enhance and strengthen the effect of our efforts. Public safety and public health represent widely different cultures, but HIDTA has demonstrated the ability to marry skills and interests among these cultures to achieve the common goal of creating healthier and safer communities. The HIDTA prevention strategy was needed to enhance the efforts of existing HIDTA task forces, coordinate prevention efforts in each HIDTA region, enhance real-time awareness, education, and prevention responses in each HIDTA region, support assessment, planning, implementation, and evaluation for prevention efforts for each HIDTA region. When the HIDTA Prevention Committee convened last year, a mission and vision statement was developed for the strategy. As you can see on the screen, the mission statement indicates that the HIDTA prevention strategy promotes and supports the integration of innovation, evidence-based, and evidence-informed strategies to reduce substance use in our nation's communities. And our vision statement indicates that we seek to serve as the prevention infrastructure that facilitates cross-sector collaboration and communication among its stakeholders. The HIDTA prevention strategy functions as a catalyst for the development, implementation, and evaluation of prevention programming unique to each of the HIDTA communities. Along with the mission and vision statements, the committee developed goals and objectives. And as you can see on your screen, they established the objective to provide HIDTAs with prevention experts, to provide education and training to HIDTA personnel, encourage partnerships in public health and public safety, And then goal two, is to use assessments and research to guide prevention efforts. And our objective is to select appropriate strategies to address the top priority needs within the HIDTA. Goal 3 is to sustain prevention strategies in all regions. And our objective is to create and evaluate and report outputs. And to achieve the goals and objectives of the prevention strategy, we formulated ADAPT, a division for the advancement of prevention and treatment. We funded this to ensure that the HIDTA program is good stewards of HIDTA dollars when funding prevention programs, utilizing needs-based approach for prevention programming, and provide an infrastructure for all HIDTAs when funding prevention program and efforts. In order to operationalize and support HIDTA communities with implementing the HIDTA prevention strategy, we promote ADAPT. Therefore, I would like to introduce Dr. Laura Papard. Dr. Papard is the Deputy Director for Treatment and Prevention at the Washington-Baltimore HIDTA. She has been the project director for 5 federal training and implementation grants on substance use and behavioral health prevention, totaling $12.5 million. She serves as the director of ADAPT and works closely with me and the ADAPT Advisory Council to support the HIDTA prevention strategy. Dr. Papard will be emceeing today's event. Please welcome Dr. Papard.
Good morning. Thank you, Jamie. Welcome, everyone. Jamie just mentioned the HIDTA prevention strategy, and Shannon has told you a little bit about HIDTA at large. What I'd like to do for you today is ground you in some important ways of thinking about substance use prevention as it relates to ADAPT and its role in helping to further the HIDTA prevention strategy. ADAPT is actually a new division that's been created in the Center for Drug Policy and Prevention at the University of Baltimore. ADAPT, as you can see here, has a mission that really is quite simple. The first part of its mission is to support that integration that Jamie was speaking about. We are designed to fully integrate prevention programming within our HIDTA communities and support that in whatever way is possible. The second part of the mission, though, is to advance the knowledge, the skills, and the quality outcomes related to substance use prevention. In order to do this, we have 3 goals that are attached to ADAPT. The first goal really resides around training and technical assistance services, and we'll provide those in 6 different domains, and we have been providing those since April of this year with several different HIDTAs across the country. Those domains are identifying best practices in substance use prevention, training in areas that are needed, implementation consultation on the process of actually integrating those programs into the organization or community, evaluating the outcomes and outputs of those programs, sustaining those programs, which is attached to goal number 3 of our HIDTA prevention strategy, and finally, any finance or budget issues that may be needed, we will assist with those as well. So ADAPT is not alone, though, in doing this. We have a wonderful steering committee that assists us in this operation. And as you recall, our primary goal really is to help operationalize the HIDTA prevention strategy. In order to do this, what you see here on your screen are several of the HIDTA prevention committee members that Jamie engaged last summer to help develop the HIDTA prevention strategy. Many of these members also sit on our ADAPT Advisory Council, and they help to guide and steer the operations of ADAPT, provide feedback, and offer support as ADAPT provides technical assistance to these communities. The benefits of ADAPT are many. I do want to highlight here that we are a dedicated support for HIDTA prevention funded programs, and that's unique. It's the first time that HIDTA has done something like this for substance use prevention, And it's nice to have that dedication and commitment to pursuing this type of service within our HIDTA communities. But ADAPT is not designed to duplicate or replicate any of the existing resources, the variety of wonderful resources that you'll hear about today and that are already available in our communities and from many federal agencies and many nonprofits. So we collaborate with them, and we've developed relationships with many of them and continue to develop relationships to collaborate and introduce our HIDTA communities to existing resources. When those resources do not exist to meet the needs that have been generated in our HIDTA communities, then ADAPT works to develop something to meet that identified need. We do provide education and training on prevention fundamentals, and I want to highlight here that word fundamentals, because throughout the day today, you're really going to hear about implementation and evaluation, critical pieces of successfully integrating prevention into communities. And then finally, ADAPT has been tasked with evaluating the value, the impact, and the quality of HIDTA prevention at large. So 3 neat things that I wanted to introduce you all to today that will be public facing and that all of you can take advantage of, that will be generated by ADAPT, include these 3 products. The prevention pearls are 10 to 15 minute snapshots, 10 to 15 minute overviews of our particular concept. So for instance, one of the HIDTA communities we've worked with really needed and requested some assistance around developing their evaluation template and deciding between outputs and outcomes, how they're related, distinguishing between the 2 in order to fully expand and capture the impact that they're having. So a 10 to 15 minute prevention pearl will give them a snapshot and overview of that concept. What you see here on your screen next to the column of prevention pearls, though, are associated and complementary technical webinars that ADAPT will be providing on these concepts. So we mentioned output versus outcome as a prevention pearl, and a 1 to 2 hour technical webinar that expands on that concept and really does a deeper dive into it might include something like ways of measuring prevention, presenting common measures of prevention, and really talking the audience through more of those technical pieces related to measurement. Our 3rd product is an evidence-based practice spotlight. And in these virtual webinars, we will be showcasing best practices for substance use prevention. So we're excited about those as well. I do want to mention, again, these are all public facing. We can accommodate up to 3,000 people on these webinars. And I will explain to you in a minute how to connect with ADAPT to be made aware of these offerings in the future. But for those of you working specifically with HIDTA prevention, I also want to share with you that we have other trainings that are being developed specifically for you based on requests that you have made to assist with HIDTA prevention integration into the community. This is how to connect with us. We have 3 platforms currently: LinkedIn, Facebook, and a YouTube channel. All of these sessions today are being recorded and will be accessible via our YouTube channel shortly here upon conclusion of the summit. Our email for ADAPT is adapt@wb.hidta.org if you'd like to connect with us in any way and reach out with any questions or any ideas. And I also want to mention here that we are providing a resource packet for all of you that houses not only how to connect with ADAPT information, but a ton of resources that all of our presenters today have submitted to us to include in this comprehensive packet. It includes several guides, several studies, several websites that they highly recommend as critical substance use prevention resources. So I believe it ended up around 88 pages, but it has links to just a wealth of information in our field. You can access that resource packet underneath your presenter screen, where I am showing up right now. There is a tab called Event Resources, and you can download it from there. It will be available in every session as we move throughout the day. In order to ground us in what we're about to experience today and kind of begin us on our journey of thinking through advancing substance use prevention in HIDTA communities. I wanted to pause for a second and maybe talk us through what you're about to experience in our morning session versus our afternoon session, and then talk us through extraordinary versus extraordinary approaches. This morning, we have designed the program to really offer you an overview of the landscape of substance use here in our nation, as well as key details from some of our agencies that are key players in this field on their approaches. You're going to be hearing from the ONDCP Director, Director Carroll. You'll be hearing from the NIDTA Director, Dr. Nora Volkow, and you will also be hearing from CDC, several CDC panelists that will all speak to, in some way, shape, or form, as well as the Surgeon General, who will be joining us as well, all speak to their approaches to substance use prevention. So that's going to set the stage and kind of ground us, give us an overview of what's happening and how we're approaching it in our country today. But the afternoon session is a little more personal. It's designed for you. It's designed to help you think through how you can move your personal needle, your organizational needle, your community needle closer to extraordinary. And when I think about the difference between extraordinary, which simply means more of the same, more of commonplace, more of the standard that's currently occurring in your community, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. There are a lot of wonderful things happening. An effect can be measured and seen in many of our communities today, and that's wonderful. But I challenge you today to think through, what does extraordinary look like? And when we look at the definition of extraordinary, it really is remarkable, worthy of attention, worthy of noting. And so I challenge you as we move throughout the rest of our summit today to think through, how can I be more extraordinary in my pursuit of substance use prevention in my individual role? How can I assist my organization in moving its needle closer toward extraordinary? And how can I assist my community? What role do I play in my community to help it move its needle closer to extraordinary? A good starting point for thinking through this, because we encourage you to dream big today, but we also want to give you some tools. What I've done here is I've lifted a couple sentences from our National Drug Control Strategy. The concept that is captured here in these two sentences really has been captured for several years, but it was particularly important for this summit. And essentially what it represents is that we can have impact by implementing a single activity, a single prevention program. We can absolutely have impact. But the synergy that occurs when we start to thread multiple substance use prevention programs together into creating a full spectrum prevention net for our communities is powerful. It's very powerful. And it's encouraged and it's recommended, and you see here that there are multiple dimensions of dividends that result from doing something like that. So it's a good starting point for you today in thinking through your own move towards extraordinary. And then I'm just going to tickle your brain a little bit with some of these questions that I'd like you to reflect on as we move from presenter to presenter. You're going to hear from leaders in the field this morning, and then you're also going to hear from practitioners and boots on the ground people and presenters who have really lived and breathed prevention through the National Prevention Science Coalition later today to share with you some of these nuggets. But these are some of the concepts that maybe you can think through as we progress throughout the day. Leadership. What is the leadership like? Are you having any challenges with that vision being presented in the community? Are the partnerships there? Is your workforce fully developed and at capacity to be able to move you towards extraordinary? Are your data systems in place for that continuous learning? What are your communication tools? Is everyone on the same page? Are you achieving the buy-in that you'd like to achieve to move towards extraordinary? And then very importantly, once you move that needle in some type of way, we want you to think about in 2 to 3 years, if you were to come back and ask yourself, is it working? How would that effectiveness be visibly demonstrated? What outcomes would you be looking at? And the flip side of this is an observer standpoint. So you've got your outcomes that may be demonstrating effectiveness, but if someone was to look inside at that implementation process, what noticeable, what remarkable, what extraordinary elements would they notice and hone in on about your implementation process? At this time, I want to make you aware that we will experience a short pause throughout the morning sessions as we transition to our next session. I'm going to be handing it over to Jamie Delano to introduce Director Carroll. Thank you and welcome.